It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. And if you go to our YouTube feed, make sure that you like and subscribe. Subscribe so you can get all the videos from previous shows. Let's say you missed yesterday's show. When you subscribe, it'll be right there for you. If you like it, it'll send it on to someone else. Bring someone else to the party. It's popping in the YouTube chat. We have a whole community of listeners and also now viewers who talk about anything and everything under the sun. We have polls, which we post for you to vote on. And also, it usually gives you a leg up when we're giving away prizes. And speaking of prizes, got to let you know. So put this on your calendar right now. Put it on your calendar. Next Tuesday, we're going to be giving away tickets to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Oh, word?
Word to your mama. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And when I say pairs, I'm talking about multiple pairs at the Hollywood Pantages Theater. And you'll get to pick the show. It's not for a particular show. You will get to pick the show. Now, there will be some limitations and stipulations, but you'll get to pick the show. In fact, it premieres at the Hollywood Pantages Theater tonight. Tonight is opening night. But we're going to be giving away passes on Tuesday to Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. That's Tuesday. And tonight in the third hour, we're going to be giving away passes to Comic-Con Revolution, and we're going to have an in-studio conversation with Drew Selden. You've heard him before. Now you get to see him here in studio tonight. Comic-Con Revolution tickets, passes given away tonight in the third hour.
Too much good stuff.
Oh, I got so much. I'm going out of order even, okay? I don't even know where to start. We have Marsha Collier, who's going to be in, obviously, at the top of the second hour, giving us all the latest and greatest regarding tech tips. And Chris Brown, in trouble again, arrested for assault. And did you hear? I talked about it earlier this morning with Bill Handel. That's how long my day is going. I got up with Bill, did some talking with Bill, and we talked about how Netflix is rebooting Star Search. That show from 1983 and 2003 has been rebooted once again on Netflix, and it will be a live show twice a week. We'll talk about that, whether it still has any cachet, any relevance in a world of reality TV where they have 5 or 6, 7 other different talent shows that it will be competing against. But not to give away too much of what I'm going to talk about. If you're paying attention, you know that Netflix has been slowly moving into the sports and now also into live entertainment. They had the live, I'll say, like comedy specials, but it seems like they're gearing up to have a live channel consistently. That's what it seems like. We'll talk about that at the end of the second hour. But here's what I wanted to start tonight. And a lot of the first hour is going to be about the local Los Angeles, Southern California economy. And I hate to say I tried to warn you, but this is going to be one of those times. The Los Angeles City Council voted yesterday to approve a sweeping package of minimum wage increases for workers in the tourism industry. And you know, that's not going over real well. We talked about this, but let me refresh your memory. This proposal would require hotels with more than 60 rooms, as well as companies doing business at LAX, to pay their workers $30 per hour by 2028. $30 per hour by 2028. That translates to a 48% hike in the minimum wage for hotel employees over 3 years. Well, that's not bad if you can get it. And airport workers would see a 56% increase. Well, wait, there's more. Hotels and airport businesses would be required to provide $8.35 per hour for their workers' health care by July 2026. And if you should be one of the workers or some of the workers who would benefit by this, then God bless you. But here was the warning and admonition that I had for those who were possibly looking at the world through primrose glasses and not seeing the forest for the trees. Here's what I mean. Have you been to a hotel lately? And I'm not talking about valet. I'm talking about self-park. For the most part, I would say more than 75% of them. For the most part, there is no actual attendant. Did you notice that? It's almost it's automated where you get your ticket and you have to pay before you get back to your car, usually. And if you don't, then there might be one person you can push that button and they'll say, can I help you? But there's really nobody there. Why? Because technology has replaced that person. How all this works together is, if you tell me, and let's say, for example, hypothetically, that I own a hotel. Okay, call me Black Donald Trump. Call me Donald Trump. And I were to own a hotel, and you're telling me that I have to pay all my hotel workers $30 an hour. Would it be good business to do that? Or would it be better business to find some way to remove those employees altogether, remove that expenditure altogether? And I just used the parking garage as one example. Have you seen a gift shop lately? Have you seen any of those, like those convenience stores and hotels? Fewer and fewer employees in those. Why? Because there's a way that they can do that in an automated sense. And if you're telling these businesses $30 an hour per employee, since you have a hotel with more than 60 rooms, which is basically anything bigger than a Best Western or a Motel 6, you're going to see all these jobs disappear. Not some of them, not most of them, all of them, with the exception of maybe hospitality. They haven't quite gotten it down to where they can clean the rooms without aid of actual people to turn over a room. This is going to fundamentally change the hotel industry. Now, you can say, well, let it be capitalism and let the market decide and let businesses compete against one another. I'm telling you, this is going to usher in the end of a lot of these jobs. And I'm not saying it because I'm trying to protect big business. I'm saying this because I know big business is selfish and they're all about money, making money and keeping money. And if they can find something, not someone, but something to do your job or do the job of someone, and they can remove that 1 or 2 or 12 people off their payroll, then damn it, they're going to do it every single time, because corporate America, if anything, is predictable. Oh, and by the way, and I pulled a couple of stories about corporate America being predictable just for Mark Ronner. Just for you, Mark.
It's your thoughtfulness that really touches me.
Yes, at the bottom of the hour, we're going to talk about corporate America being predictable. Kroger was found overcharging customers. Who couldn't have seen that coming? How many times have we talked about price gouging? How many times have we talked about how, okay, yeah, inflation has raised prices to a certain point, but then there's also record profits for these same entities. So it's not inflation that's pushing up the prices, it's corporate greed.
It's the fact that they have no concept of enough. It always has to be more and more and more, no matter how much they have.
Kroger,
excuse me.
That's okay. Kroger found overcharging customers the same day that Walmart raises its prices, but it says it's due to the tariffs. Do I believe them? I'm not so sure. We'll talk about that and more when we come back. We're going to talk about killing coyotes, one of my favorite subjects. Just later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram and the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. Join us on the YouTube show at Mr. Mo Kelly. Join us on Instagram Live at Mr. Mo Kelly. Or you can continue to listen on the iHeartRadio app. There is a new proposal from the California Department of Fish and Wildlife aimed at curbing coyote killings. In other words, they want to cut down on people who may want to kill coyotes. And if you don't know, I've always made it very clear. I would rather kill a coyote than risk a coyote possibly killing my dogs or harming someone's child. I have coyotes in my neighborhood every single day. They're on my security recorders. You see them around my house in the nighttime, in the daytime. I have 2 small dogs, but I have high enough fences they cannot jump over. That's the only saving grace. Otherwise, my dogs would be dead. Now, my fear is they get real smart and figure out another way into my backyard. And I've said many times, look, if I see a coyote in the road, I'm going to run him down. And I get all these messages from you. No. That's inhumane. Why don't you just catch and release? Why don't you do something where they could trap them and take them to somewhere? It's like, where? So they can kill someone else's dog? I don't know what the answer is. And a lot of people in my neighborhood, unfortunately, have been feeding the coyotes. And they know, especially on trash days like Thursdays, our trash day's Thursday, that means that's food day. So they're out scavenging for food. They can smell the trash and they know people will feed them. So they're not intimidated by people. But let me get back to the story. The proposed rule would ban the killing of coyotes unless the coyote posed an immediate threat, in this case, to livestock. To livestock. Now, I don't have livestock, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I guess I'm just SOL. I'm not raising chickens in my backyard.
Riley and Benson aren't livestock?
No, they're not.
Oh, okay.
Because we're not going to eat them.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why. But the coyotes might. That's the problem.
That's the qualifier. We're not eating them.
Well, that's what livestock is. Usually it's, you're raising it for the purpose of eating or, turning them into handbags or something. Here, go ahead, Steph.
I was just say also real quick, me and Tuwala have both seen coyotes
Here.
hanging out
Waiting on
at
me.
the front
Waiting.
at iHeart.
I've seen them running down Olive, just running around. And that means there's a coyote den around here because this is their area in which they're patrolling. And currently, and it depends on where exactly you live, depends on like LA County versus other places. Currently, the state law is coyotes can be killed at any time. That's not exactly true depending on the county that you live, because I've investigated LA County. But this new rule in a statewide sense would categorize them alongside bears and mountain lions, requiring a depredation permit, meaning proof that a coyote posed a verified threat. How, do you have to wait until... Look, we've seen enough coyote attacks. They're documented. They killed pets. Dogs and cats, small animals. They've attacked small children routinely, consistently. Why is it I have to wait for them to actually attack before I go ahead and kill them? And I was posing this to Tuwala during the break.
Yeah.
If you knew that someone or something was a veritable threat to your child or some member of your family, if you should just turn your back or allow some sort of access to your child.
It's like you don't believe in due process. I think you need to actually catch and photograph the coyote with a box of Acme products before you can do anything to it.
I got news for you. Due process, as far as the Constitution is concerned, only applies to persons.
What?
Persons.
Get out of here.
Not coyotes. They don't get due process. They get a bullet in their head. That's what they get.
Not even when they paint a
Capiche?
fake tunnel on a cliff wall?
Nope.
Come on.
Nope. And I'm not playing around. If I see him, I'm going to kill him. I'm going to kill him dead. Their mother, they're dead. Their brother, dead. The whole family, dead.
I'm looking for a word that rhymes with schmociopath.
Don't. I cannot be the only one who
Wow.
thinks that
He wouldn't be
coyotes-
talking that way if his
No.
cat was outside.
He would not be talking if he just see what would be on my security devices.
No,
I show him to look. I would come in that news booth and show you what's running around my house.
You stay
all
out of
hours.
this booth.
That's
Stay
what
out
I
of the
thought.
booth.
And we should be using these coyotes for pelts. Nice coyote pelt rug.
Yeah.
Can dry our feet off when we get out the shower.
Yeah?
Soft gray coyote fur.
So what would you say, Mark, if your cat was outside and it got eaten by
I
a
don't let
coyote?
my cats out. So, well, first of all, my cats are gone.
No, I know. I'm
3 years
putting a
as
hypothetical.
of a couple days ago, but they weren't outdoor cats. Never have been. You'd be insane to have outdoor cats when you know there are coyotes around. Why would you blame the
When
coyote
you know.
for behavior that comes naturally to it?
You can't control a coyote.
No, you can't, but you can control your own pets.
Mark has never heard the blood.
I guess he
curdling
doesn't
death
know
cry
idea.
until
Oh, no,
it happens
idea.
to
of a
him.
dog being eaten at night.
I hear it routinely in my neighborhood because I'm up late at night. That's when they're the most active. I hear it all the time.
Then how are you fighting on
Exactly.
behalf of the
I'm
coyote?
so disappointed in you as a human being.
I'm really
Are you?
shocked.
Well, this is heartbreaking.
as
What
a
should
former
I do?
pet owner, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand why you would not.
You don't
do
have like
everything.
empathy for them?
I am not a bloodthirsty maniac. I think if I could just offer a point of clarification,
So if you had a dog that was outside,
I would keep close track of the dog and not let it roam
Close
the
track?
neighborhood.
Well, that's the neighborhood. We're talking about in your backyard.
it goes in your backyard.
What's the difference between a coyote and a thief jumping over your fence?
Do I need to explain that to you?
No, my point is, are you going to blame the dog for being in its own backyard as opposed to a thief or a coyote hopping over the fence?
I think you should fortify your fence and supervise your animals, Morris.
You coyote
This
sympathizer.
motherfather right here.
You coyote sympathizer. I can't believe
I've
it.
never.
Say it again. Say it again.
You never know when they're going to have a pair of rocket skates, and then you're screwed.
No, look, you have no idea.
He's actually going in there.
Get out of this news booth. Out of here right now. No boundaries in this place. No boundaries whatsoever.
Which is what a coyote doesn't know.
Oh, in this case, Mo was the coyote, and this was my backyard.
Wait a minute. You just proved his. You just went against his point.
No, I just
Mo.
proved mine by mercifully not killing him for violating my yard.
And you also just proved his point because he doesn't know boundaries.
Well,
Coyotes.
I think he needs a face full of bear spray.
Okay.
So you have it on hand.
Right. No, I didn't think I'd need it here, but, lesson learned. You don't have to tell me something twice.
Okay, so we're going to treat coyotes like humans. The next time the coyote comes into my yard, I'm just going to have a conversation with it before I kill it and let it know castle doctrine because it should know better. Is that where we're going with
Just
this?
politely ask it to leave. It might do so.
Okay, and if it doesn't, can I kill it then?
You mean if it gets up on its hind legs and,
No, no,
and
no.
stands up?
It doesn't
You know
have to
you're
stand up.
You know you're bigger than a coyote, right? By
I
a
know
good
that.
deal.
You're also bigger than a tiger.
No, you're not.
Yes, you are.
No, you're not.
Okay, what about Mark? My dogs
gotta
are not
do the
big.
news.
My dogs are not bigger than a coyote, so it's different with them. Correct?
It is, but you can't remove you from the equation. That
I can
includes your
kill
dog.
anything that comes into my house.
It sounds like you really want to.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
I'm clear. I
want you to get the help you need
I
because
said that at the beginning.
most
I
people
will kill these coyotes.
most
before they
people
kill my
don't have
dogs.
the degree of bloodlust that you're displaying right now, Mo.
Bloodlust?
Yes.
Bloodlust?
Kill them all. Kill them dead.
See?
Coyotes and bees. Kill them all. Kill every single one.
Hey,
Kill,
pause on
kill
the bees.
every single one of them.
Pause on the bees. We need the bees. We don't need a single coyote.
Okay, they can kill all the bees that are in and around my house. How
Mark
about
just
that?
has no empathy for other people's
No,
pets.
I'm not the one who wants to go on a killing spree
No empathy,
here.
but calls us the sociopaths.
Is there-
Exactly.
Are there any other species you want to add to your genocide list, Mo? Any?
No, I think that's it.
Runners?
Oh,
Are you sure?
how about skunks? Let's kill skunks too. They don't serve any real purpose.
Are you rendering them redundant?
I don't know about redundant. They can go
Okay.
I mean, what do skunks do?
other than spray people.
Or
pets.
chase cats and try to woo them with their wily
you
ways.
figured it out. Yes, they're massive sexual harassers, and they don't
Yes.
deserve to exist.
How did Pepe Le Pew ever get on TV?
How, man? How did that get approved?
Like
Pepe
Warner
Le
Brothers
Pew
had no
Pew.
HR department, none.
It's later with Mo Kelly. Mark Ron is still wrong. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
KFI. It's later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube. We're live on Instagram. Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app. A recent Consumer Reports investigation found that more than half of the stores tested by shoppers at Kroger had overcharged for sale items. The report was published yesterday and alleges Kroger shoppers have been unknowingly paying full price at checkout for items that were advertised as discounted or on sale. Mark, I suppose it was just a big misunderstanding. I have no reason to believe that every single error made that happened to go in the direction of the retailer was anything other than just bad luck.
I check my receipt every time I go to the Ralph's, which is a Kroger store in my neighborhood, and I almost never get out of there without having to go back through the line and point out a mistake that they've made in their own favor.
It seems like it's always in their favor. I've never.
Yeah, what are the odds?
I don't remember going there and all of a sudden, they just accidentally gave me $6 off.
And they have a variety of excuses for it as well. You have to get your coupons, however you pronounce it, from the Ralph's app. And those don't match often what's on the shelf sticker. Also, there's a night of the week. I think it's Tuesday night where the prices change at the main office on the East Coast. So if you go in there past a certain hour, you can't count on anything being what you see on the shelf. There's all sorts of things they can tell you to rationalize being cheated on your bill.
I don't know if they can rationalize this. The investigation also found that roughly 1/3 of the sales tags were out of date by at least 10 days. Some had passed their expiration date months ago. And the report had shown that the average overcharge was $1.70 per item.
That's a key point to make because the amount that you're overcharged often isn't worth the time it's going to take you to go back through the line and get it fixed.
And it adds up.
It does.
But you're talking about millions of customers, millions over the course of a year. You can see how that dramatically impacts their bottom line.
Oh, it's enough for them to buy a Palace in the Sky airplane.
But it's not just Kroger/Rouse. Mark, I got news for you.
No.
It includes Walmart and Vons have been also accused of similar overcharging issues. Albertsons agreed to pay $4 million back in October to settle a lawsuit because of selling items for more than its lowest advertised price. And I mentioned Walmart because simultaneous to that sentence in that story, there's the other story that Walmart is raising its prices due to, quote unquote, tariff costs. I say quote unquote because I don't know if they are being above board here. I don't know that. I suspect that they're probably not, but that's just me being cynical.
Are you trying to suggest that the massive company, the nation's largest retailer, who pays its employees so little that taxpayers have to fund their ability to live, that they might not be completely on the up and up?
Well, that, and I'm also saying that I'm not so sure I believe that this has anything to do with tariffs. I'm saying that they're using that as an excuse to raise the prices on top of possibly overcharging their customers per the other story.
It could be both at once because without sending the official KFI forensic accountant to the Walmart corporate office, we know that every single economist who appears to be able to put two sentences together says that tariffs are really going to wallop us sooner rather than later.
Right. So I guess maybe they're getting out in front of it and say, hey, you know what? Since we are overcharging you and we have a legitimate reason, quote unquote, to overcharge you even more, why don't we just go ahead and get to the overcharging you and say that since the tariffs are coming and they are coming, and since we are not above board, we'll just go ahead and overcharge you again.
Right.
Anyway.
The other thing that I'm seeing the economists saying is that there might be some legit companies that have to raise their price because of the tariffs, but the rest are just going to pile on anyway because they can, because that's what everybody else is doing. And so if a few key businesses raise their prices, there go the rest right along with them, whether they must do that or not.
And they're raising their prices right along their projections, which fell short. Walmart earned $4.45 billion or 56 cents per share in the quarter, which ended April 30th, which is down from $5.1 billion or 63 cents per share. So in anticipation, they are raising their prices because they didn't make as much money last quarter, which says more about the real reason as opposed to the tariffs, which have not hit this quarter.
Like, if you are a taxpayer, and I'm pretty sure I am, you should be so pissed at the Walton family because we're making up for that. Whatever amount of pools or jets or Bentleys they own, that's coming out of my pocket and yours.
Yes, it is. And we try to tell you this is what capitalism really looks like. And I know the cost of eggs, the cost of milk. It's really important to address that. We need to make sure we bring down these prices. And I keep trying to tell you, you're being gouged. It is artificial. It is greed again and again and again. But you don't want to believe it.
Nothing wrong with making a healthy profit, but the people making the healthy profit don't have an off switch.
No.
It's get as much as you can, no matter what it does to anybody.
It's later with Mo Kelly. KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app, YouTube, and Instagram. And when we come back, it's kind of sad news when I read that Dick's Sporting Goods is going to buy Footlocker. I'm kind of fond of Footlocker. You know, this kind of look like a little tear coming out of my eye about Footlocker being no more.
Are you going to go into your shoe room and weep?
Yeah, I probably would. I would. Fond memories in Footlocker.
You got a shoe room with
No, my wife does, not me.
Next to the girls at Hot Dog on the Stick, the girls that worked at.
Oh, how did you know I was going there?
Oh, really?
Oh, yes. Those vertical Never mind.
Keep going.
Ooh.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next.
You're listening to Later with Mo Kelly on demand from KFI AM 640.
It's Later with Mo Kelly. We're live on YouTube, Instagram, and the iHeartRadio app. When I was late teens, early 20s, I worked at this place called the Athlete's Foot. It was low-class Footlocker. It was like budget Temu Footlocker, the Athlete's Foot. And I worked there because back in the day, when you worked in a athletic shoe store, you might meet some girls. And I say girls because teenage years. Could have been girls, young women, you know. No HR. The point is, those are the places to work. And I always wanted to work at Footlocker. I really did. Because the hottest girls would go into Footlocker. That's the place where everyone would buy their shoes back in the day. This is before the internet. This is before you could buy your athletic shoes just about at any department store in the way that you can now. Footlocker was the place to be in the malls of America in the late 1980s and the early 1990s. So when I read that Dick's Sporting Goods is going to buy Footlocker for $2.4 billion, it says to me it's the end of an era. No, don't get me wrong. I don't buy my shoes from Footlocker anymore. I usually go to like the Nike outlet. I'm kind of brand loyal when it comes to shoes. I'm Nike. They fit my feet better than Adidas, but that's neither here nor there. Dick's Sporting Goods is going to throw Footlocker shareholders a lifeline with this $2.4 billion deal. And the company, Dick's Sporting Goods, said that it expects to run Footlocker as a standalone unit and keep the Footlocker brands. In other words, the company will continue on as Footlocker, but there probably will be other changes in this acquisition, maybe fewer locations. But it's being said, going back to our last segment, Footlocker was struggling because of the tariffs. If we acknowledge that most footwear and clothing purchased in this country are imported predominantly from Asia, you could see how a business like Footlocker would struggle to remain solvent. And this is something that I didn't know. Footlocker's shareholder stock price dropped 40%, more than 40% this year. It's amazing that they're still in business. And I also think, having nothing to do with the tariffs, and Stephen, I want to get your thoughts about this, because you and I both loved mall culture. I think that's fair to say.
Yes.
Malls are all but extinct.
Yeah.
Footlockers, by and large, only existed in
the
mall.
Yep.
And since you have fewer malls, you would have fewer successful Footlocker locations. Now, I'm not disputing, actually, I'm not going to get into the argument of whether the tariffs are what's causing this, but you'd have to imagine that Footlocker as a brand had to be on the decline because its success was largely predicated on mall shoppers. I can't think of a standalone Footlocker anywhere.
I think I saw, you're not wrong, because I think I saw maybe one in my entire lifetime that was like in a strip, not a strip mall, but like a kind of like a Del Amo, but like outside. It was like its own thing.
Like an anchor store.
Yeah. That was like the only one. But yeah, every time I think of Footlocker, I think of the mall.
And maybe it's limited. I'm only going to Del Amo Mall if and when I ever go to Del Amo Mall. And that Del Amo Mall, they had like 3 Footlockers. They had 2 Footlockers and a Lady Footlocker.
Footlocker Junior.
Right.
They had so many.
They own the malls.
Oh, yeah.
But now it's like Del Amo Mall is not all that not much traffic.
Kind of going back to your talk about how mall was a place where before you could go to the club, that was like the club.
Yes.
I feel like Footlocker was a place where you got the number and then you'd meet up later at either the movie theater or somewhere else.
The mall was the free hang for kids. You could hang out. You knew that the girls were going to be there. Girls knew that the guys were going to be there. You could, in theory, unless the police were going to hassle you, hang out there. And back in the day, we had an arcade, Aladdin's Castle at Del Amo Mall.
Oh, that's right.
We could go play arcade games. There was a place for us to meet that really doesn't exist anymore. I don't know where kids kind of hang out to get each other's number, whatever they do, or however they do it now. I have no idea how they socialize. Oh, serious. It doesn't make any sense because they're always on their phones. They don't know how to actually talk to someone. They don't know how to Mac. That's what we said back in the day.
I think now, because I'm like the last part of that generation, is that I think it's just Snapchat and Instagram.
That's so weird to me.
And then, because I'm even thinking of the movies. The movies is like the last thing that we had, and now that's going away.
And the movies was the perfect first date, second date. It was the easy way to take someone out. You can stay out relatively late because the movies probably were late.
Yeah.
Those types of places for young people to meet and hang out just don't exist anymore. But I think that's part and parcel of why Footlocker and other what I call mall brands have struggled mightily. Footlocker has about 2,400 retail stores in 20 different countries in North America, Europe, Asia, Australia, and New Zealand. I mentioned that because when I went to Korea, there were a bunch of standalone Footlockers. They were more like in outdoor malls, but they were big deals. And in Korea, at least South Korea, they could not get enough of American culture vis-a-vis Footlocker, the types of apparel, the shoe styles, that they're playing rap music in the stores. Footlocker was a big deal. Footlocker was a big deal. Nike, they had Nike stores, big deal. That part of Americana was very popular in South Korea, is very popular in South Korea. So I can understand how Footlocker outside of the United States is probably still doing well. But here in the United States, yeah, I just don't see it. Look, as far as I'm concerned, it's one step ahead of Radio Shack. No.
Is Footlocker the place where the employees have to wear the referee shirts?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, the vertical stripes.
And was that just a magnet for...
how can I say this not too offensively? They were very flattering on young ladies.
I see.
Because they not form-fitting, but close enough.
And they wore almost the same type of shorts that the hot dog on the stick girls wore.
Yeah, then I don't know when they changed it, but then they made them start wearing the black pants.
The pants,
the pants.
Later.
Yeah. But until they did, good times.
So they go from nice, fun shorts to black pants.
You know, it's all this politically correct BS.
That's like Taliban on a stick. Come on.
Look, hot dog on a stick was very ahead of its time. Very ahead of its time. And they knew what they were doing with those short shorts. Don't tell me they didn't.
And the lemonades.
The lemonade, and they had the pump the lemonade, the squash lemonade.
We can't have nice things anymore.
No, we can't. No, we can't. I tell you, this political correctness has just gone too far.
That's what it is.
KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app.
Ignorance is bliss. We have zero bliss. Completely blissless.
KFI.
And KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio.